In the heart of a prestigious private school, arrogance parades as power. Amelia, the untouchable daughter of wealth, publicly humiliates a quiet boy whose tattered clothes mark him as an outsider. Spit on his face, laughter in his ears, and the label of beggar burned into his skin. Armand stands silent, but inside him, something shifts. Beneath the humiliation, a seed of vengeance takes root, one that will one day change both their worlds. And as Amelia walks away, believing the story is over, Armand knows it has only just begun. The courtyard of St. Alden's Academy gleamed under the afternoon sun, a polished world of red brick walls, marble fountains, and manicured lawns, a palace of privilege where fortunes were flaunted as casually as smiles. Students in crisp navy uniforms gathered in clusters, their laughter sharp and shallow, the air thick with entitlement. And then, cutting through that polished perfection, walked a boy who didn't belong. His shoes were scuffed, his shirt too big, his trousers frayed at the edges. A threadbare backpack hung limply from one shoulder. He kept his eyes on the ground, each step hesitant, as if the very earth here questioned his right to exist. Who let that in? A girl's voice sliced through the air, heads turned, laughter followed, and from the top of the marble steps, Amelia Stratford descended, the Queen of St. Alden's. Her golden hair framed a face sculpted by privilege and arrogance, her tailored blazer gleaming with the school crest as though it were a royal emblem. She stopped in front of the boy, tilting her head with mock curiosity. "Did you get lost? Or are you here to collect trash?" Her words dripped with venomous sweetness, and the crowd erupted in giggles. Armand didn't answer. His lips trembled, but his gaze stayed low. "Look at me when I'm talking to you," Amelia snapped, stepping closer. "People like you don't belong here. You're dirt under our shoes." Still silence. And that silence enraged her. "Fine," she hissed, and before anyone could react, she spat. The spit hit his cheek and slid slowly down his skin. A ripple of laughter exploded around them. Phones came up. Flashes blinked. To them, it was entertainment. To Armand, it was a wound carved deep into his soul. He finally lifted his eyes. For a split second, Amelia faltered. There was no rage in his gaze, no pleading, only something cold and unshakable, something that refused to break. It unsettled her more than tears ever could. "Come on, let's go," she said with a toss of her hair, turning away. "The smell's ruining my afternoon." The crowd followed her, their laughter echoing long after they were gone. Armand stood alone, the spit drying on his skin, the humiliation burning hotter than the sun above him. He wiped his cheek slowly, his hand trembling, not from weakness, but from the weight of a promise forming in his chest. "This isn't over," he whispered, the words barely audible but heavy with destiny. And as Amelia's laughter faded into the distance, Armand walked away from St. Alden's courtyard, not broken, but reborn. For days after that afternoon in the courtyard, Armand avoided the streets near St. Alden's. Every time he passed the red brick walls, he could still hear the echoes of laughter, still feel the spit cooling on his cheek. Humiliation clung to him like a shadow, but beneath it, something far more dangerous burned. A silent, furious resolve. One night, as rain hammered the tin roof of the small one-room apartment he shared with his grandmother, Armand made a promise to himself. He stared into the cracked mirror above the sink, the reflection of a boy the world called worthless staring back. "No one," he whispered, voice trembling but firm, "will ever look down on me again." And then, he disappeared. The students of St. Alden's forgot him within weeks, just a footnote in Amelia Stratford's long list of cruel amusements. But while her life glided forward on the rails of inherited wealth, Armand's descended into the furnace. He took night shifts washing dishes at a roadside diner, studied under flickering streetlights, devoured every book he could find. Sleep became a luxury, comfort a stranger. Each hardship that should have broken him instead built him sharper, stronger. It was during those sleepless nights that fragments of his past resurfaced. Memories of a sprawling estate, servants calling him young master, his father's laughter echoing through marble halls. Once, the name Armand Rahim had opened doors, until betrayal slammed them shut. Trusted partners had stolen everything, and his father's death sealed their downfall. From wealth to ruin, from heir to beggar, all before Armand turned 10. But even in poverty, blood remembers. Years turned like grinding gears. Armand won scholarships, mastered economics and business, and worked for companies that never knew the janitor they once ignored was building an empire of his own. Every insult became fuel, every closed door a challenge, and then, almost without warning, the tide turned. A new name began circulating in boardrooms and whispered over late-night news reports. A mysterious young investor reshaping industries with ruthless brilliance. His companies bought failing empires and turned them into gold. His wealth multiplied faster than anyone could track. His presence was felt everywhere, yet his face remained unknown. Until one morning, headlines screamed across every financial paper. AR Industries acquires Stratford Holdings. Amelia Stratford's family company, once untouchable, now belonged to someone else. And at the center of it all, in a black suit and a gaze colder than the day she spat on him, stood the man no one had seen in years. The boy who vanished had returned. The ballroom sparkled with chandeliers and polished marble, but beneath the glitter lay desperation. The Stratford family's once mighty empire was crumbling, whispers of bankruptcy spreading like wildfire. And Amelia, once the untouchable queen of St. Albans, stood in front of the mirror, fixing a practiced smile over a face lined with sleepless nights. "This deal has to happen," her father had told her that morning. "Without his investment, we lose everything." His investment, the mysterious tycoon no one knew yet everyone feared. The man whose signature could resurrect dynasties or bury them forever. Even the city's oldest names bent before him. The music swelled as Amelia entered the ballroom, champagne glasses clinking, cameras flashing. She greeted familiar faces with the same polished arrogance as always. But beneath the surface, her pulse raced. When the host finally approached her with a knowing smile and said, "He's here," her breath caught. Across the room, a man stood surrounded by murmuring executives. Black suit, silver cufflinks, a presence that silenced even the loudest conversations. He turned, and their eyes met for the first time. "Miss Stratford," the host said, leading her forward. "May I introduce Mr. Arman Rahim?" "Mr. Rahim," she said, offering a polite hand and a rehearsed smile. "It's an honor." "The honor is mine," he replied, his tone calm. But his eyes, sharp and steady, lingered on her with unsettling familiarity. They spoke of markets, strategies, and investments. His questions were precise, cutting through her corporate facade. And though his words remained civil, every syllable seemed laced with something deeper, something she couldn't place. He never once looked away. "Have we met before?" she asked finally, half laughing. "You look familiar." Arman's lips curved, but his eyes stayed cold. "Oh, we've crossed paths," he said softly, "though I doubt you'd remember." The conversation moved on, but unease gnawed at Amelia's chest. There was something about his gaze, as if he was watching more than just a potential business partner, as if he was remembering. It wasn't until the orchestra began its final piece that the truth slammed into her. The name, the eyes, the quiet intensity. And suddenly, the image of a boy on the school courtyard floor, spit dripping from his cheek, flashed in her mind. Her breath hitched. "Impossible," she whispered. Arman leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper, yet heavy enough to make her knees tremble. "I remember," he said, his breath warm against her ear. "Every word you said that day." The world around her blurred. The ballroom noise faded. Only his words remained, echoing louder than the orchestra. The boardroom was silent, thick with the kind of tension that feels alive. Outside, the skyline glowed with the heartbeat of the city, but inside, Amelia Stratford's world was collapsing. Papers lay scattered across the polished oak table. Papers that declared the end of a dynasty. Her family's company, once worth billions, now belonged to one man, Arman Rahim. He entered without a word, the door closing softly behind him. Gone was the boy she spat on, the boy whose name she mocked and dignity she crushed. In his place stood a man carved by fire and forged by time, his presence colder and heavier than the silence itself. "Please," Amelia's voice broke before she could stop it. "Please don't do this." Arman stood across from her, unreadable. "Do what?" he asked quietly. "What exactly am I doing, Amelia?" She swallowed hard, her eyes wet. "Taking everything. My family, this company. Our name. You'll ruin us." A bitter smile tugged at his lips. "Ruin you. That word, I remember it." He stepped closer, his words cutting through the air. "Do you remember what you said to me? People like you are dirt under our shoes. You spat on me as if I wasn't even human." Her knees buckled, and she sank into a chair. "I was young. Stupid. I didn't know." "You knew enough!" he snapped, the years of buried rage breaking the surface. "You knew how to humiliate. You knew how to laugh while I stood there covered in your spit. That moment shaped my entire life." Tears streamed down Amelia's cheeks. "I am sorry," she whispered, voice trembling. "I am so sorry. If I could go back, I would change everything." The room fell still again. Arman stared at her. The girl who once represented everything cruel about the world, now broken, humbled, stripped of her crown. The revenge he had dreamt of was within reach. He could destroy her family with a single signature, and yet it felt hollow. For years he had chased this moment. But now, standing on the ashes of his pain, Armin realized he didn't want to become what had hurt him. He placed the papers back on the table and turned away. "I'm not here to destroy you, Amelia," he said softly. "I'm here to prove that I became more than your cruelty." She looked up, stunned. "You're helping us?" "I'm saving the company," he replied. "Not for you, for me, because hatred built me. But forgiveness will free me." Amelia wept openly, a sound that carried regret and rebirth. And in that shared silence something shifted. Two lives forever bound by a single cruel act, now changed by mercy.